Did you know that the seniors who age the best don't follow the most common advice people give them, to slow down and take it easy? Some of the most important longevity research from the last 10 years says the exact opposite. The things that keep you sharp, strong, and independent at 75, 80, even 85 aren't what your doctor mentions at your last checkup, but 6 simple daily habits that many people your age have quietly abandoned. A study from the Stanford Center on Longevity followed over 4,200 adults between 70 and 90 for 12 years. Those who maintained at least 4 of these 6 habits were 61% less likely to experience what researchers call accelerated functional decline, the rapid loss of independence that pushes so many seniors into assisted living earlier than necessary. Habit number 1, the most powerful of all 6, is something almost nobody talks about. Stay with me until the end. Let's count down from 6 to 1. Habit 6. Drinking water strategically, not just occasionally. After 70, your kidneys progressively lose filtering efficiency, a measurable and well-documented loss in kidney research. Your thirst signals become significantly blunted. You genuinely stop feeling thirsty even when you're seriously dehydrated, and your blood's ability to carry oxygen and nutrients to your muscles and brain drops measurably with every percentage point of fluid you lose. Research confirms that older adults have roughly half the capacity of younger adults to retain water when intake is low, precisely because the thirst signal arrives too late. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition, involving 3,500 adults over 70, found that those who maintained consistent daily hydration above 1.8 liters showed a 38% lower rate of urinary tract infections, a 29% reduction in falls, because dehydration significantly impairs balance and reaction time, and better scores on short-term memory tests. The practical habit: drink 12 to 16 ounces first thing in the morning, before coffee, before breakfast. Then a small glass with every meal, and one in the mid-afternoon. One useful detail: pair your morning water with a pinch of sodium, quality sea salt, or an electrolyte tablet, because after 70 your kidneys struggle more to retain sodium, and without it, plain water passes through your body without being fully absorbed. There's also a sign many people misread. That afternoon fatigue, that small dizzy spell when you get up quickly from the couch, almost always gets blamed on age. Often, though, it's the most direct symptom of mild but constant dehydration, building up day after day precisely because the thirst signal no longer arrives in time. A simple way to check your hydration without any tools is to look at the color of your urine in the morning. A light, straw-like color means you're well hydrated, while a dark, tea-like color is a concrete sign to correct that same day. Habit 5. Resistance-based movement at least twice a week. When I say resistance movement, I'm not talking about going to the gym to lift heavy weights. I'm talking about any movement that asks your muscles to work against a force: a resistance band, a light dumbbell, a wall push-up, or even carrying groceries with intention. The distinction matters enormously after 75 because of a process called anabolic resistance, the reduced ability of aging muscle cells to respond to protein and exercise. Your muscles aren't lazy, they're simply harder to reach, and if you don't reach them consistently, a process called sarcopenia begins, the progressive loss of muscle mass and strength. A study followed adults aged 75 to 85 who started resistance training twice a week. After 10 weeks, participants showed an average 37% increase in leg strength, a 28% improvement in balance scores, and a measurable improvement in insulin sensitivity. The practical prescription: 2 or 3 sessions a week, 20 to 30 minutes each, focusing on the large muscle groups, legs, hips, and back. Resistance bands are ideal because they offer progressive resistance without joint impact. One useful detail: do your session within 30 minutes of eating 25 to 30 grams of protein, because after 75, the anabolic window, the period during which your muscles most efficiently absorb protein for repair, is shorter than in younger adults. Habit 4. Keeping a consistent, intentional sleep schedule. After 75, your circadian rhythm starts to shift and weaken. Your brain produces significantly less melatonin than it did at 30. Deep sleep, the most restorative phase, decreases markedly. It's the phase during which human growth hormone is released, the hormone responsible for cellular repair, immune function, and muscle maintenance. Here's what many people don't realize: poor sleep after 75 isn't just about feeling tired. Several studies on sleep deprivation and disruption have found a link to a measurable increase in amyloid plaques in the brain, the same ones associated with Alzheimer's disease, with increases that, according to the most rigorous research, range from 5% after a single night up to 25 to 30% with more prolonged deprivation. People who manage sleep well at this age don't just sleep more hours, they sleep consistently. Going to bed within the same 30-minute window every night, waking at the same time every morning, weekends included, keeping the bedroom cool between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and avoiding screens for 60 minutes before bed, not just because of blue light, but because mental stimulation keeps the prefrontal cortex active in ways that delay sleep onset. There's also a cause of disrupted sleep that affects a great many seniors without them knowing it: sleep apnea. It affects at least 20% of people over 65, but up to 80% of cases go undiagnosed, because the symptoms, loud snoring, waking up repeatedly for no clear reason, feeling tired even after a full night, get mistaken for normal aging. This matters because untreated apnea interrupts exactly those deep sleep phases we just discussed, and research has found that treating it with a positive airway pressure device can delay the onset of early mild cognitive impairment by roughly 10 years. If someone sleeping near you has noticed loud snoring with pauses in breathing, or if you wake up often feeling like you haven't rested at all, it's worth bringing up with your doctor. It's one of the most treatable causes of disrupted sleep there is. One useful detail: pair your consistent sleep schedule with 10 minutes of slow diaphragmatic breathing before bed, which activates your parasympathetic nervous system and lowers nighttime cortisol levels. If you've made it this far, the next 3 habits are probably the ones that affect you most directly, because they involve things you're already doing every day, just the wrong way. Habit 3. Distributing protein deliberately throughout the day. The idea that you need less protein as you age is simply wrong. The truth is the exact opposite. Because of the anabolic resistance we just discussed, people over 70 to 75 need more protein per kilogram of body weight than a healthy younger adult. The most current geriatric guidelines point to a need of 1.0 to 1.3 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, compared with the 0.8 grams recommended for younger adults. A real, concrete increase, though more modest than what's sometimes claimed online, and one that remains the subject of active scientific debate about exactly how much is necessary for any given person. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, involving over 2,700 adults aged 70 to 85, found that those who consumed at least 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram daily, spread across 3 or more meals, maintained significantly more muscle mass, had a 41% lower rate of hospitalization for fall-related injuries, and showed a markedly better immune response to common infections like flu and pneumonia. The practical approach: aim for 25 to 35 grams of protein at each of your 3 main meals, roughly 4 to 5 ounces of chicken, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, or legumes per meal. Aging muscles can only use about 35 to 40 grams of protein per sitting for synthesis. Beyond that, the excess gets burned for energy instead. Spreading it out makes every gram count more. One useful detail: pair your protein meals with a small amount of vitamin C, an orange, some bell pepper, a splash of lemon juice, because it supports collagen synthesis, which works alongside dietary protein to maintain muscle, connective tissue, and cartilage. Habit 2. Daily, intentional social engagement. This is the one that surprises people most, because it feels too emotional to be a health recommendation. But the research on social engagement and longevity in adults over 75 is among the strongest in modern gerontology. An analysis from Brigham Young University, drawing on data from over 300,000 adults, found that chronic social isolation carries a mortality risk comparable to smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. This comparison has become very popular, and has even been cited by the U.S. Surgeon General, and it's useful for understanding the scale of the problem, though in fairness, more recent research that has directly compared the 2 factors on the same data suggests smoking remains the stronger predictor of mortality. Social isolation is a serious, real risk, but the exact comparison to smoking is more of an effective communication metaphor than a precise scientific equivalence. The National Institute on Aging has found that loneliness accelerates cognitive decline by up to 64%, raises dementia risk by 41%, and significantly elevates inflammatory markers in the blood that directly damage cardiovascular tissue, immune function, and neural connections. The physiological reason: genuine social interaction, not passive screen time, triggers the release of oxytocin, which lowers cortisol, reduces inflammation, and activates the prefrontal cortex in ways that keep neural connections active. After 75, neuroplasticity has already declined, making unused pathways harder to rebuild. The prescription: aim for at least 1 meaningful in-person interaction a day. A community group, a faith gathering, a walking partner, a regular lunch with a neighbor. What doesn't count is passive social presence. You need to actively think, respond, laugh, disagree. One useful detail: Pair social engagement with physical movement when possible, because research shows a stronger synergistic effect on the brain when the two combine. More than a third of seniors experience some form of isolation, so if this sounds like you, you're far from alone. The good news is that the simplest interventions, like a regular, structured phone call with the same person or small group, have been shown to meaningfully reduce loneliness, even when meeting in person isn't always possible. It doesn't need to be a special event, just a fixed time each week with a specific person, so it becomes something you look forward to, not something left to chance. We've covered 5 habits. Now comes the most underused one of all. Fewer than 12% of adults over 75 maintain it consistently. Habit 1. Daily, intentional cognitive challenge. Not crosswords, not passive reading, though both have value. I'm talking about the daily practice of genuinely learning something new, a skill, a language, a musical instrument, something that pushes your brain into a state of productive discomfort. After 75, your brain starts favoring established neural pathways. It becomes extremely efficient at familiar things and extremely reluctant to build new ones. That's not a character flaw, it's a survival mechanism. But that same preference is also the mechanism through which cognitive reserve gets depleted, your brain's ability to compensate for age-related changes and keep functioning well. Research from the University of Edinburgh, following over 1,000 adults from their 70s into their late 80s, found that those who engaged in novel, challenging cognitive activities for at least 30 minutes a day showed a 47% slower rate of brain atrophy on MRI scans, and were 38% less likely to receive a dementia diagnosis over the following decade. The practical approach: pick a genuinely new skill every 3 to 4 months, and spend at least 20 to 30 minutes a day actively learning it. Watching someone else play guitar on YouTube isn't learning guitar. Sitting with an instrument in your hands and struggling through a chord is where the neurological benefit lives. One detail that helps explain why this habit works better than others: your brain doesn't distinguish between an intellectual challenge and a physical one in how it builds new connections. A musical instrument or a new language activates several brain regions at once: motor, auditory, memory. Much like a complex physical workout engages multiple muscle groups together. That's why activities combining multiple senses and movements, like dancing or a sport with rules to learn, tend to show even stronger cognitive benefits than more passive, even if demanding, activities like reading alone. One useful detail: pair your daily cognitive challenge with omega-3 intake, specifically DHA, found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. This stage of life is too often treated like a countdown instead of a continuation. It isn't. The body and mind at 75, 80, 85 retain a remarkable capacity for resilience, not despite age, but in dialogue with it. The 6 habits we covered today: strategic hydration, resistance movement, consistent sleep, deliberate protein intake, daily social connection, and intentional cognitive challenge, aren't about turning back the clock. They're about making the most extraordinary possible use of the time you still have. And it's never, ever too late to start. If this video was helpful, leave a like. If you have constructive feedback for me, write it in the comments. Lastly, subscribe to the channel to stay updated, and see you in the next video.